Early life and education. John Calvin was born in 1509 in Noyon, France. He began his education by studying humanities at the University of Paris. Calvin later pursued a degree in law, immersing himself in legal studies in Paris. These formative years in academia helped shape his intellectual development and provided a strong foundation for his future theological work. Conversion and initial writings. John Calvin underwent a profound conversion to Protestantism, leading to his dedication to the Reformation movement. This pivotal moment in his life marked the beginning of his journey as a theologian and writer. Calvin started penning his early works, which laid the foundation for his significant contributions to Protestant theology. These formative Reformation texts would shape his legacy as one of the most influential religious figures of the 16th century. Move to Geneva and ministry beginnings. Upon arriving in Geneva, John Calvin immediately began working to reform the city's religious institutions. He published his famous work, Institutes of the Christian Religion, outlining his theological beliefs and establishing the foundation for his reform efforts. Calvin worked closely with the city council to implement new policies aimed at promoting moral discipline and upholding the principles of the Protestant Reformation. His efforts faced resistance from some citizens, leading to his expulsion from the city in 1538. However, Calvin was eventually invited back in 1541, where he continued his work to establish a Reformed church in Geneva that would serve as a model for Protestant communities across Europe. Exile and Strasbourg period. After being exiled from Geneva, John Calvin used his time in Strasbourg to refine his theological ideas and writings, establishing himself as a prominent figure in the Protestant Reformation. He also ministered to French refugees, providing spiritual guidance and support to those fleeing persecution. It was during this period that Calvin married Idelette de Bure, a widow whom he had met in Strasbourg. Their marriage was a source of comfort and companionship for Calvin as he continued his work as a theologian and pastor. The exile and Strasbourg period were crucial in shaping Calvin's beliefs and influence on the Reformation movement. Return to Geneva. Calvin's return to Geneva marked a significant turning point in the city's religious landscape. He wasted no time in implementing his ecclesiastical ordinances, which aimed to establish a more disciplined and moral society based on his interpretation of biblical teachings. Through his teachings and reforms, Calvin transformed Geneva's religious life, influencing not only the church but also society as a whole. His emphasis on the sovereignty of God and predestination had a profound impact on the people of Geneva, shaping their beliefs and behaviors. Calvin's vision for a purer and more fervent Christianity took root in Geneva, establishing it as a center of Reformed Protestantism and leaving a lasting legacy in the history of the church and society. Final years and legacy. John Calvin's lasting impact on the Reformation can be seen in the roots he strengthened and the theological legacy he left behind. His writings and teachings were instrumental in shaping the Protestant movement and continue to influence Christian thought to this day. Calvin's death in 1564 marked the end of an era, but his ideas lived on through his followers and the lasting impact he made on the Reformation. His legacy as a theologian continues to be celebrated and studied by scholars and believers around the world.